This is the Haibike XDURO FullLife RX. XDURO, meaning it has the Bosch mid-drive motor instead of Yamaha, which is SDURO. I've looked at the Hard Life, less happily named hardtail with the Yamaha motor. This is the FullLife, it's full suspension. Really awesome bike. Definitely prefer the Bosch Centerdrive. Much more responsive. It seems to have a higher effective RPM, so I'm getting good power support even if I'm spinning. The motor doesn't kind of like ease out on me the way Yamaha does. It seems like Yamaha requires higher torque pedaling, even though it's rated as a really high torque motor. This is the Bosch Performance CX, so it's the higher torque version of their motor. And normal Bosch motor is going to put out 60 Newton meters, whereas this is going to put out 75. Still feels very good. It's kind of the familiar Bosch experience that I've had on a number of high bikes and some felt bikes and others in the field in the United States. This is a wonderful platform if you're a female. The first thing you might notice is, hey, it's like orange dreamsicle, like cool white, matte white, with a few little gloss stickers here, almost some sparkly stuff going on there. Maybe a little bit of frame protection too, where some of the wires go, although most of them are internally routed. It's really, really clean design, including the little wraparound stuff happening with the PowerPack 400. And even look at this. There's a little mud flap that protects that rear suspension. Fox Evo. It's just awesome stuff. 120 millimeters travel on the front fork, 15 millimeter thru-axle, 203 millimeter hydraulic disc at the front, 180 at the rear. This is a 12 millimeter thru-axle, quick release on both wheels. One of the huge benefits of having a mid-drive motor like this, and the whole frame has been designed from the ground up to sort of balance out the motor placement and weight. For 2016, these Bosch motors are said to have gotten 38% smaller, and it does look a little bit more compact to me. Got a nice shield on the bottom, sort of a plastic scuff guard to keep it well protected, and even on the sides, you know, there's some branding and stuff, but inside there, it's pretty dense. I believe these weigh about 8.8 pounds. Battery is 5.3, I was weighing that earlier, so it's one of the lighter batteries. The motor is on the heavier side, but it just performs phenomenally, definitely giving you excellent support and a real range of support options too. So coming back to like what makes this a women's bike besides being a little bit more colorful, well, it comes in the smaller frame sizes, so 40 centimeters, 45 centimeters, and 50 centimeters, which is what I'm using. It's kind of a 20-inch frame. Feels pretty good to me, although one of the things that's a little bit different from just the other full suspension high bikes is that the reach is a little bit shorter. So that top tube's going to be shorter, a little bit more of an angle right there happening because, you know, as a woman, the reach, the arms might be a little bit shorter compared to a man. I guess I was told like, hey, women's arms might tend to be a little bit shorter than their legs proportionally in relation to a man. So that's kind of news to me. That's cool. So they've redesigned the frame reach, and as such, the whole geometry's changed just slightly, but otherwise, I mean, it does look very similar to some of the other full suspension bikes. The other thing that you'll notice is that the nose on the saddle is a little bit shorter, and it's a little bit wider back here at the seat area for pelvic support. So that's cool. So the saddle is sort of women's specific. And then if you come up to these brake levers, really nice stuff, Shimano SLX, they've got adjusters here so you can actually make them, kind of bring them back closer to the grip. So someone who might not have the big hands and really long fingers is still going to be able to manage the brakes really easily, and just, they do perform. I mean, this is high quality stuff, including the drivetrain. Shimano Dior XT11 sprockets. So that is awesome. Up to 42 teeth. And then we've got the 18 tooth chainring up here. That's a little bit different if you're more accustomed to a normal pedal power mountain bike. You're like, oh, why is it so small? Well, it spins at a higher RPM. I think it's more efficient. It's definitely one of the most responsive electric bike systems I've ever tested. And then what they've done here, this is a sprocket equalizing system, so it lifts the chain up a little bit so you aren't, you know, slapping on that chain stay. And it's also supposed to reduce kickback, and that's a little bit of a narrow, wide teeth configuration on that too, so no chain slipping. Really good systems. And you know, Shimano Dior XT, that's up in the enthusiast level. It's one of the higher level drivetrain components that I've seen on electric bikes in general. So good stuff all around. I guess the other thing I should mention is that this motor is measuring 3 things. It's measuring wheel speed, and you can see there's a little, almost like a cycle computer magnet system going on. It measures cadence, so, you know, as you're pedaling, and then torque, so how hard you're actually pushing. It measures all of those like 1,000 times per second to make just really almost instantaneous decisions about when the motor should be supporting you versus when it should back off. And that's what makes this much more capable and actually, you know, trusting your health when you're up in the mountains or something, because it is going to stop. And they don't have brake lever motor inhibitors built in because the system is so responsive, and it's one of the systems that actually performs well. I've done you know, just a bunch of reviews on other electric mountain bikes, and I'm often like, well, it's, you know, it's a little bit delayed, and I put the camera there, which I'm going to do for this, and you can actually see the sprocket spinning and how quickly it starts and stops in relation to my pedaling actions. And this is just, again, it's one of the fastest ones, and if you're at the edge of a cliff or something, you definitely need that. Let's talk a little bit about the wheels. So 27.5 by 2.35, so really fat. These are tubeless ready, although the ones I'm looking at here, just they come with tubes. If you're someone who's really hardcore and you're lowering the air pressure and just getting great traction, of course that reduces your efficiency, but you've got a motor supporting you, so it's a really great feeling. Going tubeless, you know, you fill this up with sealant and stuff, you're going to be able to ride these a lot harder without getting pinch flats. So that's something I've been learning recently, getting more well versed in what does it mean to be like a hardcore mountain biker. It's like, yeah, you take the tire pressure down, and but you know, if you're using tubes, you can get pinch flats. So these ones are all set to go. They're not porous. And then at the back here, the rear suspension is using a 4-bar linkage system, and that's designed to give you support as you're going over bumps, but when you're pedaling, maybe not have the same sort of bobbing effect. So we'll see that when I strap the camera to this thing a little bit later. Love the slap guard. Little attentions to details. I was talking about the cables going through the frame, but they have these extra large holes that are going to be a little bit easier to work with if you take this to a shop. And that's the cool thing. Shops won't be as intimidated because most of the bike here is bicycle, right? And I love the black spokes, but just dealing with the brakes, dealing with the sprockets, the derailleur, chain, all that's kind of unchanged, and all the motor systems are right there at the center, keeping weight low, making this balanced front to rear, and then keeping the frame stiff, and you're not adding any unsprung weight by having like a hub motor in either one of these wheels. So really great just off-road performance. Air fork, we've got firm, medium, and open, so it's kind of a quick adjust. It's not remote, but you know, quick adjust right there. Same thing with the rear suspension. I'm used to calling this like CTD, climb, trail, descend, but this one's not labeled. Again, just Evol. I'll have all the specs back at the website, including like some sizing charts and stuff, as much as possible to get all the information you need. Rebound adjust right there on that front fork, 120 millimeter travel, really cool stuff, and just an elongated handlebar. And they say this, you know, display protection bend. I just think it's, you know, it's a riser bar. In the past, if you were a woman and you were trying to get a hardcore bike, and you were getting a men's bike, maybe the reach was further, one of the things you could do is get a shorter stem, but then that sort of changes weight distribution and handling a little bit. So again, having a purpose-built frame like this for women to be electric with the highest end components and systems is just phenomenal in multiple sizes. So I do want to, I'll hit the specs for the motor. It's 250 nominal, 350 peak. Sounds kind of low. This thing performs. Like, don't worry about the numbers. 75 Newton meters of torque. It's awesome. And then the battery pack up here, they call it the Power Pack 400, 36 volts, 11 amp hours for 396 watt hours. It's not quite 400, but you know, they round. Here are the keys. So looks like Trelock. Love how the battery, they say step-in battery system. That's talking about the frame here. See how it kind of cuts in a little bit? I'll go ahead and take this off. You can see it a little bit closer. Okay, so you just turn it, and pop it out like that. Pretty lightweight. And there is the interface, and they've got this new foam padding just to make it a little bit tighter and to reduce rattling. Very similar to the old, Bosch Power Pack interface. And there is a little charging port as well on the sides. So unlike the Shimano system or some of the other electric bike mid-drives I've seen, you don't have to take the battery off, you know, and this thing gets scuffed up, you could drop it. Sometimes it's nice to just leave it on when you have an electric bike that's this expensive. Maybe you're gonna bring the whole thing inside. But of course, taking that off reduces frame weight and it frees up the middle if you're gonna carry this on the back of your car. So that's kind of cool. Let's take it over and check out the charger. This thing is 1.7 pounds, really portable. In fact, you can unplug just the wall side if you want to make it even more compact. It's got this proprietary interface, not going to get confused or short circuit or anything. So, very cool stuff. And then there's even this little LED power indicator on the side. So when it's not on the bike, you can get some idea for how full it is. And I did reset all the trip distance information and everything. My plan is to hop on this bike and ride all the way up to that tower way up on the mountain there. Just, you know, get some great ride footage and see how low the battery drops, see how long it takes me. So that should be kind of fun. I'll just put this back in, just kind of sits at the bottom. I've noticed that I have to turn the key back and then really kind of push down. Yeah, did you hear it click? Make sure it clicks so you don't lose that thing, because they are kind of expensive if you have to replace them. I think it could be a $700 battery pack. You don't have to leave the key in, of course, when riding. That would be silly, but so many electric bikes make you. So let's talk about starting this thing up. How does that work? Well, first of all, we've got a display panel right in the middle, nice big screen. It pivots so you can reduce glare. And then we've got a breakout button pad over here on the side with kind of everything you need. So you can really be holding on with these locking grips, you know, handling yourself on the bike really well, but kind of have this intuitive, like, oh, I need more support. Click, click, you know, arrowing up, or, oh, I need less, I'm going downhill, I want to save the battery, get a better workout, whatever, click down. So I love that there's a little bit of tactile feedback built in. The display panel itself, just like the battery, is removable. So that's kind of cool. And it has a little battery built into it as well that you can replace. So it's kind of neat. It, you know, it can be activated off of the bike if you want to get some information maybe about what time it is and just kind of take it with you. And then on the side, you might notice that there's a little micro USB port. So you could potentially, you know, connect that to your phone or some other portable electronic device and get a little bit of a charge just running straight from that main battery. It's one of the things that's really cool. There's a walk mode on top of this button over here on the pad, but it doesn't seem to work in America. I'm not sure, they might have disabled it. But jumping into the display itself, the first thing you see is your speed. Right now it's in miles per hour. I could reset that if I want by holding reset and I at the same time. And then it goes into configuration. And then you just press I again. So we could set the clock, the wheel circumference, language, I'm in English right now, units, kilometers per hour versus miles per hour, time format, 24-hour shift recommendation. This is a new thing. So as you're pedaling, if your RPM, your pedal cadence gets higher and higher, there's these little arrows that appear that say, hey, shift up. So, you know, if you're a really good cyclist, you don't need that. You could turn it off if you want, but it's a neat little feature for 2016 that they added. Power on, display version, just a bunch of other information. To get out of this, we'll hold reset and I again for a couple seconds. This display is backlit. Can't see it because it's super bright out right now, but that's kind of cool. Just a faint glow makes it easy to read. So we talked about speed. We've got our battery up there. It's got 5 bars to give you some general idea of how full it is. And then if we press I here or over here, we're going to cycle through the different other menus. So right now we've got trip distance, clock, maximum speed, average speed, trip time, and range. Range is really cool. It dynamically senses like how much battery capacity is remaining and then what level of assist are we in, and as you change assist level, it's going to give you some estimate for how far it thinks you can go. So right now we'll go to the lowest level of assist, Eco. The pack is fully charged right now and it's saying, hey, 76 miles. So Eco mode isn't super impressive. You definitely hear it, and it's more than some other systems, so I like it, but it's basically, it's just helping you deal with some of the extra weight of an electric bike and maybe the knobby tires. It just makes it feel like, oh yeah, I'm on a regular bicycle, not having to work quite as hard. And then as you go a little bit higher, Tour, you know, our range drops way down to almost 40 miles, Sport, 29, and Turbo, 24. So, you know, we're talking like 20 to 60 miles on this thing, conservatively, depending on what level of assist you're in, what kind of terrain you're on, what kind of tires and everything, because this, I don't think it's taking into account that this is like the full suspension, maybe completely unlocked with a little bit of bobbing, with those knobby tires, off-road. So, you know, it's good though to have some of that feedback, and it lets you learn a little bit better how to interact with the system and make sure you have some battery left over on your way home. So that's kind of it. I think that's a good overview. There's a lot more to say. I just wanted to call out some of my favorite bits on this and give you some idea. I'm gonna let the bike speak for itself now, hop on, show you, you know, how quickly the motor responds when I pedal, what it's like to climb, and just, you know, what this thing looks like. So let's do it. Those lower gears at high RPM. It's making me work. I'm putting in some torque, but it's helping a lot. There's the steep part right there. I'm in gear 3 right now. Well, definitely having to work here. I'm not standing up, and it's so steep. In my lowest gear. Come on! And I'm almost, my front wheel's coming up a little bit. A bit of wheelie action going on. Woo! I think we're gonna make it. But my knees feel pretty good. And I made it. Woo! There we go. Yeah. That's where we came from. Right down there. It's amazing. Just made it to the top. Check my camera. We're at under 9 minutes here. So it's less than 10 minutes to come from all the way down in the valley up to this highest peak on the rim. I'm in Simi Valley, California, just on like a fire road. It's a nice ride for this kind of thing. Let's go down now. This whole thing's gonna be like a half-hour ride. It's amazing. So let's review our stats. It still says 5 bars on the battery pack. It'd be nice to have a percentage. Max speed on that trip was 32.6 miles per hour. That's when I was blasting down the trail at the end. Average speed, 12.6 miles per hour. Some of that slowdown at the very, very top where I was really climbing in the first gear. Trip time, 22 minutes, 34 seconds. And that includes going from sort of the warehouse where I got this demo bike to the trailhead. And that was 0.7 miles each way. So 1.4, 1.5 miles of on-road. And then the trip distance, 4.75 miles. So yeah, you know, a solid 3-mile ride there. A little bit over 3 miles up and then back down that peak. And if you remember when we started this, in the lowest level of assist, we went into range and it said it thought we could go like 76 miles. So now if we go into range in eco mode, it's saying 32 miles. So all that climbing using the highest level, turbo, really brought us down. Now it says 10 miles. So we've spent about half of kind of the range, which is interesting because the battery pack still says it's really full. And down here we've got the tick marks on the battery as well saying that it's full. So that's kind of interesting to see the range drop like that. If you couldn't tell, I'm super stoked. Yeah, the bike weighs, 49 pounds. It's not as light as an unpowered bike, but it's just so much fun. Kind of zip up to speed through that riverbed section back there. Felt just like a normal bike coming down the hill. And you think about like, what if you gain 20 pounds, That's kind of what's happening with the bike. It's reasonable, performs well, and all that weight's low and really well balanced. We came from like way up there where that pole is, just in less than 10 minutes, do that whole ride. That's pretty sweet. So for the full write up on this, including pictures and all the specs and some other high bikes and e-mountain bikes, I'll see you back at ElectricBikeReview.com, and ride safe. Have fun.